We're here in the Buckaroom, Dr. BLT's home studio, and we're catching up with Dr. BLT, talking about the past, present, and the future. Dr. BLT, first of all, how long have you been playing music?
Well, I hate to admit it because it shows my age, but I made up little songs when I was real little, but I didn't write my very first serious song until I was like around 13 when I got my first guitar for Christmas. I wrote this song called Six More Rows, and it's about riding the tractor. It was a horrible song. It was awful, but after that, songwriting came easy for me.
Now, I know years later you wrote a song called I Wrote a Dear John Letter to My John Deere Tractor.
Yeah, I've written a few songs. Dear John Letter to My John Deere Tractor. Also, a more recent one is We're a Farmer's Tan and a John Deere Smile. I think I got that reversed, but
Now, what projects are you working on right now?
Well, last week I just released a duet version of Cup of Coffee, and that's with my daughter. She goes by Hyperactive. The A is a Q, by the way, just to separate her from the other hyperactives out there. But prior to that, when I started out the year just dropping a rock song, like a rock ballad, just to break away from my usual twang country style. And I created a animated music video of featuring original works of art and of course the original song, and that was called "Hold in the Hands of Time."
And do you have plans for more videos in the near future?
Yeah, actually, I just dropped another animated music video, and the song was inspired by a song by George Jones. He's my favorite country singer, by the way, George Jones. He's the man. And he wrote a song way back in the day called "Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes," and it's just a general song about all the pioneers of country music. And this one is called "Who's Gonna Fill Their Bakersfield Boots," and it's more specific to the music of the Bakersfield sound, which is a subgenre that was a reaction to the Nashville sound. It was not as polished, more raw, straight from the heart and that sort of thing. And this one also puts together about 20 works of original art, paintings of these great pioneers from the Bakersfield sound, and some of the old hangouts as well, the Lucky Spot, the Blackboard, and things like that. I've also, my next music video is going to be, was inspired by the 100th anniversary of the Grand Ole Opry, which just was televised the other night. And
Tell us about that video.
okay, now this one will be more broader, going way back to the days of Gene Autry and Jimmy Rogers, Hank Williams, some of the really old ones.
So you're reaching way back here.
Yeah, and so that's just like a tribute. It's kind of like a theme song for the 100th anniversary of the Grand Ole Opry. However, I was a little too late to get it out there. They could have used it for the Grand Ole Opry. Of course, nobody knows my name, so it might have been a little tricky to get that song in there.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your video history. I understand that you were in a video by the band Cake. Tell us about that.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, that was actually my 15 minutes of fame multiplied by the number of times that was played around the world. It was on MTV, VH1, even BET. I was getting phone calls when that video came out. It was for Short Skirt, Long Jacket. It became a really big hit for the band Cake. It was based on their song. And they did this really unusual music video where they just went around to different places like Venice Beach and Sacramento, where I was living at the time. And they just came up to people and, they asked them to listen to their song and make some comments on it.
And you were one of the lucky ones they chose?
I was, and I just gave a little bit of a psychological commentary, being a psychologist. And other people kind of used it as an opportunity to kind of get up and do a little dance or say something clever. They thought it was going to be famous. I didn't have any idea until a bandmate of mine called me up one night. His name was Christian Wise. He's an excellent drummer. I was the lead person for a band called Practically Poets, with a Z at the end of Poets, just to be a little different.
And what happened?
Well, he used to drive around on this old, actually a brand new truck, a yellow kind of a smaller truck, but it was a yellow truck, and on his license plate it said, "I'm on MTV," but it was just kind of a joke. Everybody knew he was never on MTV. But ironically enough, he's the one that called me to first notify me. He goes, "Dude, you're on MTV." I went to the television and saw myself on that video, along with a lot of other people from Sacramento and Venice Beach, and that video, it was really groundbreaking. It was nominated for groundbreaking music video of the year at the MTV Video Music Awards.
Now, my understanding is that you and Neil Young have, in a way, crossed paths. Tell us about that.
Okay, so we both came out with a song called "Let's Roll," but actually mine came out before his, and mine was actually on the radio before his. And of course, since I'm not a household name, his actually got to the top 10, and mine never really saw the light of day. However, it was on the charts. Well, USA Today was putting out this series of songs, top songs about social issues having to do with war and peace, and that song, actually, my song, "Let's Roll." No, actually, coming to think of it, that was another song. I wrote a song in reaction to an album that Neil put out. He created an entire album bashing George W. Bush, and at the time I was admittedly kind of a George W. Bush fan. I'm embarrassed about it now because he took us into a dreadful war. But I'm not going to get into the politics here. Anyway.
So what was the song you wrote in response to Neil Young?
It's called "Neil Young, Have You Forgotten?"
And what was unique about that song?
Well, I was just kind of reminding him of how he came out with this song, "Let's Roll." And him and I both came out with the song, "Let's Roll." It was a tribute to Todd Beamer, who was a hero, a 9/11 hero that basically, did a heroic act on a plane that prevented a lot of people more people from getting killed.
Now, this song, "Neil Young, Have You Forgotten?" What became of that song? Any special recognition from that song?
Oh yeah, it was actually Al Barger, who's rest in peace. He was a rock critic, and he put it on a chart. He said it was a number 7 rock song of I think it was 2009.
In the country?
Yeah.
And did Neil Young have a song on that chart?
I don't remember. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was actually number 10 on that chart that year.
Okay, my song was bigger on this chart.
Now, we know, Dr. BLT, you've written a lot of songs. Can you tell us how many would you estimate you've written?
Well, there's too many to count, but I would say like in the tens of thousands.
Okay, that explains why you may have forgotten it. It's quite astounding that many songs have been written.
I think I actually lost that song, but it was played on radio stations.
Now, understand also that for a period of time you lived in Sacramento. Is that correct?
That's right. That is where I ran into the band Cake. Yeah.
Okay. And my understanding was at the time the NBA basketball team, the Sacramento Kings, were doing quite well at that time. Is that correct?
Oh yes, they were on a roll.
And did you write a song for the team? Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, you remember that one, okay? I'd forgotten about it. It's called "God Save the Kings."
Okay. And was that song played around Sacramento during their playoff run?
It was, and it was actually on their blog as well.
Okay, so quite a good accomplishment there.
Yeah, I've written a few sports songs.
Now let's talk real quickly about, we know you have a proclivity for writing very good Christmas songs. Tell us a little bit about your Christmas song history.
Well, that's a big part of my catalog. Every year I try to come out with a new Christmas album, and most of them are, a lot of country, but I also do some rock. They're all, telling story. They're all storytelling songs.
Now, one particular album that I like is Trailer Park Santa. Tell us about that genre of Christmas songs and what led you to write that album.
Well, actually, the album is Trailer Park Scrooge, and it's kind of you're talking
Trailer
about,
Park Santa and then Trailer Park Scrooge part 2.
It's my memory again. My memory again. Yeah,
you got 10,000 songs. You're gonna forget.
My head's a very crowded freeway full of songs. Yeah.
Tell us about the first one was Trailer Park Santa, then the follow-up was Trailer Park Scrooge. Trailer Park Santa.
Okay, well, Trailer Park Santa is about a Santa Claus that lives in a trailer park, but he's actually a shrink, and he provides therapy in exchange for people baking him cookies and stuff like that.
Very unique. Now, tell us what projects you have that you're working on going forward right now.
Well, I'm working on an album. The song that I mentioned, "Who's Gonna Fill Their Bakersfield Boots," is actually the title track to an album, and
What style of music is it?
it's the good old-fashioned honky-tonk sound, and a little bit of Tex-Mex entered into this particular song. And there's another song that I'll be recording soon, and it's called "Thank You Very Much."
Very creative.
And I might make some T-shirts. I've been encouraged to make T-shirts when I first announced that one.
And do you have any final words you'd like to say to your folks who are listening on this stream?
Well, I'm not that popular. I'm kind of an underdog, you might say. But I really appreciate my fans. You guys are known as the Dr. BL Tribe, and you're out there putting that Dr. BL Tribe vibe out there. So I appreciate that. I also want to discourage all those businesses that have been only selling to Dr. BLT fans. I don't want any discrimination going on based on, you got some videos out there, the people have been busted, discriminating against non-Dr. BLT fans. So I want to discourage that and openly say that I condemn any such behavior.
Any final words?
Just like stay tuned, and I mean that quite literally.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.